everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Thunder Politics live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. The 2023 elections weeks, both the pre-rescheduled ones and the concluded ones may have gone, but the elections are still with us psychologically and even in reality. We are yet to be able to move on from the outcome of the elections because elections are undecided in some parts of the country. In Adamawa, for example, the election is inconclusive there. Before we get into the discussion for tonight, let's tell you about what is happening in Benue State. The national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Senator Yocha Ayu, has been suspended by leaders of the PDP in his Iyorof ward of Benue State. The party executive committee of Iyorof Council ward of Boko local government area in Benue State, so they say they have passed a vote of no confidence on the PDP national chairman, Dr. Yocha Ayu, and suspended him from the party. The secretary of the party of Iyorof ward, Mr. Bangal Duyum, while reading the resolution of the ward executive, says he has accused Mr. Ayu of anti-party activities, making the PDP to lose at his ward and local government, along with his allies, who also, according to them, they say that Mr. Yocha Ayu did not vote at the governorship election. Mr. Ayu is also accused of not paying his annual dues as stipulated in the party's constitution. 12 out of the 17 executive members signed a document made available to Channels Television, which you can see on your screen. And we spoke with some of the ones that addressed the press conference today. But of course, I know there will be some reactions trailing this. On Friday, on this program, we spoke with the governorship candidate of APC in Adamawa State, Mr. Ishetu Ahmed Binani, who alleged rigging by Governor Hamadu Fintiri of the PDP in the governorship election that was declared inconclusive by INEC. And tonight we will be hearing from the side of the governor on some of these allegations, as INEC is yet to finally decide on what it will do after declaring the election inconclusive. But before then, let's do some kind of post-mortem of the elections, which many have criticized as lacking in integrity, while others believe, well, there are some positives that could be taken away from the process. In fact, there has been a major controversy over the requisite parameters for a president to emerge in a presidential election as stipulated and enshrined in the Section 134 of the Constitution. The spread and the issue of the 2/3 required in 24 states, which is 2/3 of the 25% in 2/3 of the state, which is 24, plus the FCT as stipulated by the law. Let's get some insight. Don't forget, I told you we'll be speaking with the governor of Adamawa State on the program, but let's touch base with a prominent Nigerian senior lawyer, Mr. Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, who is live with us virtually. It's good to see you, Mr. Falana. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. What a time it is in our political history. Our elections have been debated, and issues coming out of this election are also being heavily debated. I know you are a reputable lawyer in the land, and I know that you know the rules guiding substantial cases before the court, and I know you might not want to delve into those matters, but without having to touch on the meat of the petitions before the Presidential Election Tribunal, there's been a lot of controversy. Can you please give some kind of explanation and some kind of explainer on what has divided many Nigerians on the issue of the Section 134 of the Constitution, in just simple terms, without delving into the meat of what is before the court?
Well, I had expressed an opinion on Section 134 of the Constitution on the 23rd of January this year. That's about a month before the presidential election. On that occasion, I expressed a legal opinion. And that was why I was very hesitant to join the bandwagon when lawyers started giving political interpretation of that section. My position this year, in January this year, and I think it was my respected colleague, Olisa Agbakova, that expressed concern and drew the attention of the INEC to Section 134 of the Constitution, and that it might create some problem. And on that occasion, through your medium, I did state that there is no electoral college in Nigeria, and therefore, the votes cast, or recorded in any part of are equal. Section 134 of the Constitution specifically requires a winner of a presidential election to meet certain requirements. The first one is to score the majority of lawful votes, and the second one is the territorial spread. Two-thirds majority of the states and the Federal Capital Territory. And since the Federal Capital Territory has been interpreted to be the 37th state in Nigeria for the purpose of the Constitution, I didn't see any controversy at the material time, and that was when I expressed my opinion. But now that it has become a serious legal issue, and the matter is now pending in court, I'm very, very reluctant to speak definitively on this section, because there are decisions of our court on the status of Abuja, 2 judgments of the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. There is also the judgment of the Supreme Court on the quality of votes recorded in every state in the country. And so since these decisions are available to all lawyers in Nigeria, to all my colleagues, I would have expected the debate to be anchored on decided cases, particularly by the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. Against you, as I said, since the matter is pending in the Court of Appeal already, it has been raised in some of the petitions. To that extent, I'm not expected to express my opinion so that one does not disrespect the court. But as I did say, I'd expressed an opinion when the election had not held, a month of the presidential election. And I stand by my position, which is that Abuja has been interpreted to be the 37th state in it. I can't go beyond that for now, Shim.
I know you can. For it's been a lot of controversies, and there's been a lot of division along party lines on the interpretation. Some will say, oh, it comes interpreted. Some say, no, it has been decided by our court. Of course, Section 134, for those who do not have their constitution very close, let me state just concisely what the lawyer, Mr. Falana, just stated now. And because Mr. Falana doesn't want to go deeper into it, you might as well just go onto Channel's YouTube page, and that's channelstvweb.com, and you can also find out for yourself what Mr. Falana said earlier. We are not lawbreakers. We do not want to touch on what the courts are going to be deliberating on. Highest number of votes, and of course, the spread to 25% into third of the state of the Federation, plus the AFCT. We'll be hoping and looking forward to what the court will decide on this matter. Perhaps we'll lay that to rest if there's anything that happen. And so, Mr. Falana, I'm not sure a lot of people imagined that the 1979 scenario could play out. For some people have said, this is looking like, it may not be exactly like this. Did you envision that this election might be, for example, we had perhaps the lowest percentage of votes that have been won by anybody that has been declared as president-elect in this country in this election? Did you ever thought that this election was going to turn out like this?
Well, as regards to our experience in the past, and once it was clear that there were more than two strong candidates, I had envisaged that we might have this kind of scenario. But there are people who have suspected that we might be having a second or rerun election for those who had the fear that the clear winner might not emerge. So there's nothing that has happened, to be honest with you, that can be said to be straight. Elections in Nigeria since 1999, we've had over-bloated figures. And since 1999, what to call voter apathy might not capture the problem. We may now begin to interrogate the figures that are recorded, the figures, the number of people registered to vote. A friend was telling me there were rats in his own area in one of the states. Up to 2019, the least votes from some riverine area would be in the neighborhood of at least 130,000. But this time around, it's barely 5,000. Because you have to be captured by the beaver's machine before you can be said to have voted. So whereas about 93 people registered to vote, and were told that 87 million collected their PVC. In a place like Lagos, 6.2 million people collected their PVC. But at the end of the day, the presidential election attracted only 1.2 million. So those figures that were recorded in the past for majority of the states have been taken away by the beaver's machine. And that is why the number has gone down. Yes, you might have recorded voter apathy in a number of states. But in terms of the presidential election, where it was reported by the media that there was a light turnout, at the end of the day, we're talking of barely 25 million voters. So it is high time, the media, began to examine these figures. And that's my position.
All right.
So I'm not in any way taken aback.
Yeah.
Because I have an idea of how some of these figures are generated. And at the end of the day, the number of voters that really show up does not usually add up.
All right, let's go.
Our elections have always ended in tribunals. And that was why I had once described what goes on in Nigeria as tribunalization of democracy. Increasing involvement of our court in elections it does not happen anywhere in the world. For instance, we had 1,200 pre-election cases. 600 appeals in the Court of Appeal and about 120 in the Supreme Court. Now, election petitions have been filed. 400 judges, 7 judges have been invited to participate in election petition, to hear election petition cases. And for the next 6 months, the cases in those courts, the cases in the courts manned by those judges will have to be adjourned. Very soon, appeals will arise from the election petition tribunal. Again, appeals in other matters are going to suffer, including matters that have to do with the liberty of citizens. So many Nigerians are complaining now. Why should you have courts that are saddled with the responsibility of hearing only election petitions and appeals arising from them? So it requires perhaps a review of the suggestion that one had made before now. We have a pool of retired judges. Why don't we invite them to handle election petitions while the regular courts will settle down and ensure that their work is not disrupted?
All right. Mr. Falana, let me jump in quickly. I have a few issues that I'd like you to touch on, but I'd like them to be tackled quickly. There is some worries, though, as we're approaching some of the hearings and the court, especially Presidential Election Tribunal. Do you have confidence, based on what has happened recently in our courts about now the politicking that we've seen in the land and the intensity and the tension that we have seen in the land? What is your biggest fear as far as the integrity of the judiciary is concerned today in respect of these petitions?
So I'm not going to join some of my colleagues who are rubbishing the courts. I go to the court on a daily basis. If I have a problem with any court, or any judge for that matter, what I'm required to do is to write a petition and submit to the NJC, National Judicial Council. But I cannot, for goodness sake, embark on what I call a fallacy of generalization. Oh, Nigerian courts are bad. Nigerian judges will not dispense justice. For me, once you prepare your case, for me, I don't think there should be any cost.
So, I mean,
elections have been annulled in Nigeria by our courts. Our courts had ordered rerun elections, even in the case of presidential election. One of them, I think, the case of Buhari and Yaradua and Atiku and Yaradua. The president-elect then escaped narrowly. It was a decision of 4 to 3 justices of the Supreme Court. But that election of 2007, the winner of the election, the late President Umaru Yar'Adua, did say publicly that the election was highly flawed. In some of the states, not less than 5, elections were annulled. And rerun elections were ordered. And as far as I'm concerned, if election petitions are well prepared, and it's much easier now than before, because in the case of Buhari and Obasanjo, the late Justice Pat Acholonu did say that to win a presidential election,
Oh, there. We're having some technical glitches with the connection with Mr. Falana. Okay.
Witnesses. So that is no longer the case. With electronic, technology that has been introduced into our electoral system, it is no longer so onerous to prove election petitions. In this case, if you're able to get your BVAS report, because what is usually recorded, overvoting, writing of figures, manipulation of results, it is now very easy to deal with those matters. In the case of, I think, Anambra State, the case between Obi and Ngige, the current Minister of Labor and Employment, they were caught for almost 3 years. You had a man who didn't win election, who was in power for 3 years. So at the time the case was decided, and the argument arose as to whether somebody who didn't win election will be in office for 3 years, while the winner will just go in there for 12 months. And I think on that occasion, Mr. Peter Obi did say, I just want to go and complete the tenure. And I had to say, what tenure? He had no tenure. His tenure is unknown to law. So go to court and ask for an interpretation. And of course, the Supreme Court did say that, the day you are inaugurated is when your term of office begins to run. So we have gone through all this before, and nothing strange.
All right. So, it then brings me to Section 36, Mr. Falana, and what the NBA president had hinted. And he has said, for issue of fairness, and Section 36 of the Constitution talks about the right to fair hearing, and that established tribunal by law and constituted in such a manner has to secure its independence and impartiality. Would you subscribe that the Presidential Election Tribunal proceedings should be televised?
I've always campaigned for that. And that is the trend now in Africa. In Ghana, the proceedings are televised. In Kenya, the proceedings are televised because judges, should have nothing to hide. Invite the media, invite members of the public. When there is order in the court, everybody should be part of it because we're all part of the election. And so the decision of the courts on the election should not be shrouded in secrecy. For that reason, I support the call by the President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Yakubu Mekar, SAN, that the proceedings should be televised. It's in the interest of our judges. It's in the interest of the public. And again, it enhances the credibility of the judiciary.
All right.
And I'm very sure that the suggestion will be seriously considered.
Yeah. So we'll see how things pan. My final question tonight is in the area of violence, and I just have about 60 seconds to go. It's in the area of violence. And Serap today was coming out to saying that INEC should investigate those governors who are said to have allegedly perpetrated violence in the election. So the question would be, does INEC have the powers? In fact, if they investigate, what becomes of those reports that will be submitted, considering the immunity that some of the governors enjoy? What becomes of that kind of suits that Serap has threatened upon INEC?
Well, Serap's position is based on the number of arrests that have been made by the police, the EFCC, SSS, ICPC, and the rest of them, and even the military. Some were caught distributing money, inducing voters. Some engaged themselves in killing, electoral violence. And I think one of the NGOs had come up with a figure of about 109 people were killed. That was before the governorship election. During the governorship election, more have been added. The governors who are in power are going to lose their immunity in the next couple of months. Now, and they can be pursued thereafter. And that is what is going on in the United States of America, where President Trump is being investigated for interfering with the election in Georgia. So the question of immunity does not arise. INEC is empowered by Section 145 of the Electoral Act 2022 to prosecute electoral offenders. And since INEC says it does not have the power, the facilities to do that, the Nigerian Bar Association has offered to help. We did it in 2011 successfully. The MBA has now has requested INEC to sign all the files that have to do with electoral offenses. The Inspector General of Police has already ordered all commissioners of police to send the case file to the INEC, and I get forward transmission to the Nigerian Bar Association. Unless we deal with impunity, electoral violence, electoral malfeasance will never stop in our country. And we must make a point this time around.
All right.
That all those who engage in inducement of voters, alteration of results, ethnic profiling, and the rest of them will have to be dealt with here. The question of going to the ICC or begging the West to impose peaceful sanctions, for me, almost suggests that we're incapable to deal with electoral offenses in our country. With the commitment of the Nigerian Bar Association and the INEC, let us begin the process of bringing people to book for a heinous offense.
All right.
That's my position.
Mr. Femi Falana, rights activist and senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you indeed for your thoughts tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Sean.
We'll take a break, everyone. And when we return, Governor Hamadu Fintiri of Adamawa State is live with me in the studio. He's equally the governorship candidate of the PDP. On Friday, we had the governorship candidate of the APC. There are those allegations that were made. We'll be getting reactions on that. There were also protests to INEC on Saturday. Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back on the Adamawa inconclusive governorship election. Everyone for staying with us. The Electoral Commission, INEC, declared the governorship election in Adamawa State inconclusive. The final result tallied by INEC showed that Governor Hamadu Fintiri of the PDP scored the highest vote. And so far in the figures that have been released and announced, INEC said the cancelled votes were more than the margin between Mr. Fintiri and the possibility of the voters that are there. The runner-up, Aisha Adairu Benani of the APC. Any date is said to will be fixed for a supplementary election in areas, 69 of them in the polling units in those areas where elections could not hold or where results were cancelled due to reasons given by the umpire. Well, at the end of the result, the tally of results, Mr. Fintiri defeated or is ahead of Mr. Benani, popularly called Mr. Benani Dairu Ahmed, with a margin of over 31,000 votes. And there you can see the incumbent governor scored 421,524 votes, while the APC candidate, Haishatu Ahmed, scored 390,524 votes. INEC declared the result inconclusive. Well, a group of women in support of Senator Aisha Benani have staged a protest in front of the INEC headquarters. They did that yesterday in Abuja, demanding a conclusion of the pending governorship election in Adamawa State, and also want the electoral umpire to resist any attempt to rig the process.
Nigerian women are demanding the following, sir. The verification of Adamawa State governorship election results, just like it was done in Abia and Enugu. Bagam. Pro prompt release of result of Adamawa State governorship elections of Senator Aishat Ahiru Ahmed Binani in line with votes in her favor. Please be informed that Nigerian women have vowed not to raise on their oaths until this mandate is assured.
Well, at that protest in front of the INEC office, INEC gave assurance on the commitment to conclude the exercise. Take a look, listen to what the INEC National Commissioner Festus Okoye said to them.
In the next few days, the Commission will announce the date for the conduct of the supplementary election in Adamawa State. So the people of Adamawa State will have a conclusion relating to these issues any moment from now. So we want to commend you, and we want to also thank you for the peaceful manner you have conducted yourselves. Civil society groups and organizations have a role to play in the sustenance of this democracy.
All right. The APC Senator representing Adamawa North in the National Assembly, Elisha Abo, is also alleging that there was massive voter suppression and the result from the Fufure local government was declared under duress. Take a listen to him.
When they realized that the candidate of APC was leading in Fufure local government area, they tampered with the IREV report. Go and check it. It is still on the internet. If you go to Fufure local government, go to Beti Ward, go to Karlehi Ward, go to Paria Ward, you will see result of the member of the House of Assembly being uploaded on the viewing portal of the governor.
Another civil society organization has since countered the allegation made by Senator Binani's camp, alleging that there is a deliberate effort to rig her out. Concerned Citizens for Peace and Development have claimed that Aisha Binani's desperation for power is a threat to peace in the state. They insist Binani was never announced winner of the Adamawa governorship election.
It is also pertinent to draw the attention of the local government and international community that Binani was never announced the winner of Adamawa governorship election. And as it stands, except by devious manipulation, she cannot win, going by the 37,016 collected PVCs in the area under contestation. Our appeal is for the security agencies to take note for the Independent National Electoral Commission to demonstrate some modicum of integrity and neutrality, and for all those fanning this wildfire of an illustrious victory of Binani to desist and not plunge Adamawa State into unnecessary crisis.
Well, Mrs. Binani was on the program on Friday, where she alleged that Governor Hamadu Fintiri and the PDP candidate, in collaboration with some government officials, colluded to rig the elections. I have tonight joining me live here in our studio, the Governor and the PDP candidate, Mr. Hamadu Fintiri. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Shehu.
Was the election in Adamawa governorship election, was it free and fair?
Not only was it free and fair, I think it was one of the most credible elections ever conducted in the state. To me, election is not a do-or-die affair. The whole powers of the world can gang up against you, but if God says you will emerge, you will emerge. Adamawa people will decide this election. The people have spoken, and I think all we are waiting is time. But, you know, out of desperation, people can spread rumors, they can spread lies and fake news. And this is what was characterized by the candidate of APC on Sunday morning. On her Twitter handle, she tweeted to the world that she had won the election. She's not an empire in this election. She doesn't have the authority to declare herself winner. She misled the world. And at the end of the day, the truth has come out. She is far behind by 31,000 plus in the election. So I don't know where the other figures are coming from.
So let's look at it. There are a few issues here which I'd like us to tackle. If you say the election was free and fair, were that situation, because INEC says there were issues based on the reports and of the election that were returned that there was overvoting. Did you agree with the overvoting report?
Of course.
If there was overvoting, and you said it was one of the best elections.
Because there was overvoting does not mean it was characterized by violence.
But I was saying, was it free and fair?
Yeah, it was free and fair. That could also be associated with our level of literacy. Probably there are people who didn't vote in the right manner or in the right direction. And for INEC to have detected that, yes, there was overvoting and they canceled the election in those PUs, it means they know their job, they know what they're doing. And we are not in dispute that 69 of these PUs were associated with overvoting, and it was cancelled. But if you go on the INEC RF portal, you will discover that there is none that is characterized by violence. Aisha Binani, through her agents in Fofore, characterized the violence that engulfed that local government in the afternoon of Sunday, after elections have been conducted successfully at the PUs, collected at the ward level, and when they arrived to collect the result at the local government of Fufore, she was leading. She won the local government. It's not in doubt. But because she had already calculated that in the remaining 20 local government, I was far ahead. So they orchestrated the way and manner to ensure that she changed the result. She was still living in the past. She thought this is election of 2015 or 2011, not knowing that INEC had invested a lot of technology, a lot of resources, capacity building in this election, which have saved the day.
But in fact, it was said that the allegation was that you were the ones, you are the one who orchestrated violence. You are the one who wanted to rig the election.
How can I rig election when I'm already leading?
Were you in Fufure on that day?
I wasn't there.
But they cited you.
Nobody cited.
And some of your officials.
Nobody cited.
That was what the candidate said.
Of course, the people of Fufore have to come out to save their votes. She was leading, but after they discovered that with the collation of the 20 local government, I was far ahead. So they wanted, the only opportunity left for them was that local government. So through one of the member-elect for House of Representatives, he sent one of his boys to go and snatch and steal the summary sheet of the Fufore local government, where they are already tabulating the results from the ward. And the man snatched and ran away with it. The people have to save their vote. They have to be there to safeguard the whole exercise. And he was under the custody of the police.
Are you aware, Governor, that there was a collection officer that was hospitalized?
Nobody was hospitalized.
Because the allegation was that
it's a lie.
Your people held him hostage and forced him to declare the result under duress.
It's the same returning officer who came back on Monday to come and declare the result officially at the collation center at the state headquarters. So how could somebody who is hospitalized come and declare result? Like I told you, these are people who are pathological liars. They have lost election. They are so desperate. The man snatched and ran away with the summary list of the result sheet. They are thought that this is, we are still in the Stone Age where you can do what you want, not knowing that INEC had already invested a lot of money in the technology.
But are you aware that
the REC, after realizing that somebody had stolen the summary sheet of that local government where the result of the local awards are to be tabulated, he was convinced to send another summary sheet to the presiding officer. At that point, the EO called him to say somebody have snatched the summary sheet of my local government. Send another one for me. He said, yes, I'm going to send another one for you. But I'm under pressure from above to ensure that I help this woman.
Is he above from you or from where? Above could be where?
From, I don't know, it can be from me, and I can't be the one to give him order again to support that woman, since I'm already contesting the election.
But Governor, if you're stating all of this, let me
make the point straight.
Okay, please.
So he sent another result sheet, summary result sheet to the local government, which was perfectly translated back to the result sheet. They came at 10 o'clock. At the same time, two other local governments have arrived, Michika and Song, which were the only local governments left. The man refused not even to collect, even after they were seated in front of everyone in the collection center. The rec said, no, he's not collecting result until tomorrow. They argued, and he later succumbed to the pressure of the argument to say, okay, he will collect the result. After taking that of Michika and Song, he said, no, he's not taking that of Fofore, because there are two results. This is where he is suspect. The man that was officially sent to collect the result was there in the hall with the result of Fofore. He thought also the result that was snatched and run away with, they must have translated another different result, which will give them the margin of win, because they have already calculated. So he thought the man was also in the hall. When he discovered the man was not in the hall, he now said, okay, he is not collecting this result. He will go back and rely on the technology of going back to the RF. And he deferred the collection until the following day at 2 o'clock. They went to the RF to download the result of Fufore, which is now the cleanest and the best, because that is the essence of the technology. He downloaded the result of the RF on Fufore, calculated, and when you compare it with that of the manual collection, the woman came down by 2,000. So it can tell you that she had been the one perpetrating fraud in the collection. And that is why she keeps sending her boys to go and snatch and steal the collection summary sheet.
Because, Mr. Governor, for a sitting governor, and this is what is coming from the other side, this election is keenly and tightly contested. And the allegations are that the only reason why you're under pressure is because you have not performed, that you have failed to deliver to the people of Adamawa State.
I think in the history of Gongola and Adamawa State, I'm one of the most performed governors. Go and carry out your survey in the state.
What gives you, why would you say so? What are the evidence?
I'm one governor that have developed the infrastructure of the state excellently across all the local government. I have turned around the state that looks like today like Abuja. I have built 8 brand new cottage hostels with staff quarters equipped. I have commissioned half of it. As I'm talking to you, if I go back next week, I'm going to commission.
But does the election result reveal your performance? If you say so,
election result does not go with performance sometimes. You can perform and certain things.
So you're performing, but your people don't want you. Is that the case?
If they don't want me, I wouldn't have been leading. I wouldn't have won 15 local government out of 16, out of 21.
So your people want you?
Of course, till tomorrow.
Why was the result so close?
If the opportunity will be provided for a governor to contest for the 3rd time, I think I'm one of those that can win election 3 times in that state.
So let me ask you again. Would you like these election results to be reviewed by INEC?
Well, if it's why will it be reviewed? That's the first thing. Because it was not reviewed anywhere. It was not reviewed for the presidential. Why does she want the election to be reviewed when we have already gone to the RF and downloaded that of Fufore? What is more reviewed than that? What is more reviewed than when INEC have not depended on the summary collation of result in Fofore. They went to the RF, downloaded the result. I also went to the RF through my agents, downloaded it, and we compared it, and it went the same.
But, I mean, you heard the allegation from the senator.
You said allegation. These are pathological liars. They
so
are
what
used
happened
to lying.
in Michika and Madagali?
Nothing happened. Elections were smooth. Elections was perfect. The same election, the same manner we conducted in the National Assembly.
Is it possible that some of your allies and those who work in government may have perpetrated some violence and voter suppression?
Sure, we are talking about Madagali and Michika.
I'm asking.
It's not out of place if you maintain your stronghold. I've maintained Madagali and Michika for the National Assembly and presidential election. The same result I got for the governorship was the same result I got for the National Assembly election. So what is violence about it?
They said there were voter suppression in those areas.
There was no voter suppression. How? How? What is the evidence?
That people were not allowed to cast their vote in your strong areas.
Of course, if people lose election, they have cause to say whatever they want to say. You're not new to Nigerians when they're losing election.
Do you have a problem with the INEC rec, Governor?
Of course.
You think that he's sold out?
He is sold out completely.
What gives you the impression?
Because he was caught on tape, and he has not denied it, even before your own journalist. And the man was caught in the woman's house on Sunday night at 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. with her husband, led by the former admin secretary, who retired 5 days after presidential election. And in his house, he should have known that he has security people in his house. He has guards in his house. So I think the man he wasn't wise. He didn't act in a more civilized manner.
And that's a very great allegation that I made.
Yes.
You have evidence of this?
If he has not denied the one who was caught on tape, if you confront me with this, I will give him the evidence.
So what would you want INEC to do in this election going forward?
INEC should continue in the manner and method they have introduced: technology, fairness, the credibility.
So you want a supplementary, but you don't want a review of the process?
I don't understand what you mean by review.
Because the new electoral law says...
So if somebody loses
7 days...
Is it enough for somebody...
Because they allege that elections were declared under duress.
Sorry. Where?
Where? Part of February.
I've just answered you. It's like you are not listening.
No, I listened to you.
You didn't listen to me.
That's the word of the other side. I'm just putting them
now.
To you.
Which is the best result? Is it the summary result sheet or the one that was downloaded by INEC itself from its RF? Which is the best? If I may ask you this question.
Because I know. I don't answer questions.
Why did we introduce technology into the election then?
So you don't want to review?
No. Why did we introduce technology into the election?
Mr. Governor, you just want the supplementary.
Sorry, answer me.
No, I can't answer because I am the one who asks questions here.
Yeah, because
my job is to ask the question.
I told you the man was about to parade two different results. Different from the one that was brought by the returning officer and the one that he and the woman had prepared. And then I think advice came from within them because there are a lot of experienced INEC commissioners. A lot of their staff are well trained. This is their job. The institution is no longer what it used to be.
All right.
Excuse me. So they were advised to download the result from the RF. Which one do you think is the best? Is it the one from the RF or the summary sheet that was prepared manually? If I may ask you, sorry, please.
No, because I can't answer. You know that.
But if you can't answer me, I think the one me and you should pick is the one that is from RF. And I think there is no other better review than the one from RF.
Okay. Let's wrap up quickly.
How did INEC even realize that there was overvoting in some units? They went to their server and through their RF, they discovered 69 units were cancelled because of overvoting. And they listed it in the list of the supplementary
And there are 37 possible PVCs in that area.
37.
Yeah, 37,016.
Yes.
So let's close on
but
this.
But the irony of this is not all the 69 polling units that election did not take place. there was conspiracy also by the REC here. There is a complete ward in Numan that did not vote. That is why if you go on the INEC server, you will discover that in Adamawa, 225 wards elections is completely on the server, with the exception of one. And that one is bulky in Numan local government. Materials arrived at 3 p.m. They said they cannot hold election that day. The officers slept there. The INEC officers slept there. They were looking for the REC to give them the permission and the directive to go and conclude the election in that ward. He refused to give them. It happened in Lagos. Election was conducted in that local government on Sunday. Why did the man refuse them not to conduct election in that particular ward?
Mr. Governor, we are totally out of time. We need to go now. But just in 10 seconds, if I may ask you, wherever way this election goes, either you win or you lose, do you have any regrets?
I have no regret because I'm not going to lose. She's on ground zero. I'm on 31,000.
Governor Amadu Finzeri, Governor of Adamawa State and the PDP candidate in the governorship election of the 25th of March election. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I appreciate your time. But that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm sure Kimale. Bye for now.